Why not try the easy way to pay? Say hello to Barclaycard Contactless. Make fast, easy and secure payments of £20 or under with a simple tap at contactless retailers. There's no need to fumble with cash or enter a PIN, contactless card, pay tag or mobile. With so many ways to pay, there's no reason not to.
Megyünk.
Trenitalia, új világrend, új Babilon, nagy Babilon. Ez a kicsi készülék ugyanazt a funkciót tölti be, mint benne az a telefonfülke. Itt is benn van a kamera, a lehallgató készülékek, és a Verichip olvasó már megjelent.
Okay, Google now. Play Miguel.
Moto X responds to you even when your hands are full. No need to press, tap, or wave to get it to play your music.
Oh, yeah, this is better. You got a text message. It's from Sharon.
Your fingerprint is one of the best passwords in the world. It's always with you, and no two are exactly alike. So it made perfect sense to create a simple, seamless way to use it as a password. With just a touch of your home button, the Touch ID sensor quickly reads your fingerprint and automatically unlocks your phone. You can even use it to authorize purchases through our stores for music, movies, TV shows, apps, and books. The sensor uses advanced capacitive touch to take, in essence, a high-resolution image of your fingerprint from the subepidermal layers of your skin. It then intelligently analyzes this information with a remarkable degree of detail and precision. It categorizes your print by one of three basic types: arch, loop, or whorl. It maps individual details in the ridges that are smaller than the human eye can see.
Droid DNA augmentation initiated. Neural speeds increasing to 4G LTE. Brain upgrading to a quad-core processor. Predictive intelligence with Google Now complete.
Introducing Droid DNA by HTC. It's not an upgrade to your phone, it's an upgrade to yourself.
More information on the Mark of the Beast cell phone and how it's morphing into the Mark of the Beast right before all of you human beings' very eyes. In February, we posted a report titled, "Could this be the year that Apple introduces the iWallet?" In that report, we talked about ISIS along with Canada's new mobile payment system called Nstream that is backed by TELUS, Rogers and Visa, but to name a few. Their service is set to launch this fall as well. At the end of the day, we're likely to see Apple introduce their iWallet product within the next year and hopefully as early as the release of their next premium iPhone. After 2.5 years in the making, Apple's many iWallet patents will finally come to life. You hear that, people? iWallet. This is just the beginning of being able to have it to buy and sell with a cell phone. This is just the beginning of it. And you people are running right into it. And you don't see it coming. You don't see the freight train coming. You don't see it. All you see is that this is wonderful and it is making your life easier. Well, you know what? It's making your life into a living hell and you don't even realize it. No person of God should even associate themselves with anything from Apple. Apple should be banned. And I know I'm just one person taking on a giant. Taking on big bad Apple. The geniuses. You know, the big geniuses that, you know, build a world. Or who's a little man like me to take them on, to call them out? Well, I'm calling out Apple. And I'm saying that the people of God should just turn their back on Apple. Throw your Apple products away. Anybody just looking at their emblem of the apple alone should make you run the other way. If you have any knowledge of the scriptures, just the view of the apple should make you run the other way. If you know what I'm talking about, and I'm not going to get into the apple because you should know it already. ISIS, just look it up, Apple's iWallet. See how everything by all of these companies, Apple, Android, TELUS, all of these companies, AT&T, Mobility, T-Mobile, Verizon, all of them are behind the mark of the beast. They're all competing to own your life. And you people don't even see it coming. It's right here now. The cell phone. Look into it. Look into it. I want you people to wake up.
Fingerprint, please.
Students at Ulaga-Talala Public Schools are moving through the lunch line a little bit faster these days.
A lot of the students here are actually able to eat lunch now because sometimes the lines are so long that and the keyboard takes a little while. So, it's just one little press and then off to their table.
By touching this device with their index finger, the computer system identifies a student by their fingerprint and charges their lunch account.
Well, so new technology is helping to make sure young kids cannot lose their school lunch money. As Daniel Seberg explained, some schools are setting up prepaid accounts that students access with the touch of their finger.
At lunchtime, the students of the West End Elementary School in Rome, Georgia, use their fingers for more than just eating.
Go ahead, Patrick.
They also use them for identification in paying for their lunch. The children's parents prepay into an account and deductions are made each mealtime.
It sends quite a strong message to a child, I think, especially at primary school and at secondary school, that they have to give over that level of information for food and knowledge in the form of library books or access to areas when actually it's not necessary to give that level of information up.
Tell us about the types of biometric information. I mean, I've heard of, obviously, fingerprinting, but do they do things like scanning your eyes as well? Because once they've got that information, that's there forever, and it may be even possibly sold on to other agencies in the future.
In the UK, we were the first country in the world to start using biometrics in schools, and initially they were using fingerprints. But we've also had iris scans, palm scans, facial recognition. But the predominant technology that seems to work well in schools is fingerprint technology. Interestingly, in 2007, David Smith, the Deputy Information Commissioner, said to a House of Commons Select Committee that if the police wanted to access the database of the school to see if they could solve a crime, they could do, and not necessarily tell the child or the parent that they'd had access to that information. So once you give up that information, you don't actually know where it's going to go. We've not got a great track record in this country with the police DNA database. So certainly for me, myself, personally, I wanted to exercise prudence, but I almost wasn't given the decision because the head teacher had told me that she could actually take my children's fingerprints and not tell me about it, which is actually completely true. So hence the campaigning to try and gain consent from parents. So when I looked into it, the Data Protection Act that we have in the UK, technology is running at a faster rate than the laws are changing. So under the Data Protection Act, anything that's classed as sensitive data, schools have to ask parents' permission for. So racial type, ethnicity, and biometric data wasn't classed under that. So technically schools could harvest children's biometric data in whatever form they wanted to and not inform their parents they had a database of it.
What sort of excuses or reasons are given that this technology is actually useful, helpful, and actually going to be good for the children and good for the school?
I think initially these systems are sold to schools in order for them to save time and to be more efficient. But in order to convince parents that it is good for the child, there's been instances of the schools saying, well, it improves eating habits, it improves reading habits.
How does it improve an eating habit or a reading habit?
I don't know. It's never been proved. There's been no sort of good analysis data that's been shown to me that that's the case. I mean, if you want to improve reading habits, then, there are other ways to encourage children rather than use fingerprint biometrics to get a library book out. But yes, we've had iris scans that were trialled, infrared face scans, infrared palm scans, infrared fingerprint scans. From my point of view, I've just sort of looked over the past since 2005 to 2012 at what's happening to the UK school population, and the biometric industry seems to have come in and tested different types of biometrics in different ways, in different situations, like library books, payment systems, locker access. And I think the biometric of choice seems to be the fingerprint. That seems to be the most efficient one.
Now, another type of monitoring is this RFID chip. What does the RFID stand for, and what different types of that are there?
Well, RFID stands for radio frequency identification. And there are two types of RFID chips, and the ones that we are most familiar with as adults, and the only ones that we actually use really, are passive chips. So Oyster card is a passive chip, the Barclays Connect card is passive. It's when you can swipe a card near to a reader and it's contactless technology basically, you're not contacting it. And then it exchanges information, and then the card goes back to sleep again when you put it in your wallet, essentially.
So the idea is that if it's a passive chip, that you're putting it near a sort of antenna which is constantly scanning, and it detects the chip and somehow gets a reading from it.
That's right, yeah. And that type of RFID is used in schools in the UK for photocopier use, and I think a little bit of access control, though it's not very prevalent. But there's another type of RFID, which is active RFID. So essentially you carry an antenna on you, and sensors around, say, a school can pick up where you are and triangulate you. That has been happening in the States, and there was some controversy last year when a schoolgirl had refused to carry it around with her because of religious reasons, but actually privacy-wise it's very invasive because the school potentially can see where your child is all the time, which could be a good thing. It could protect the child's safety. But there are a number of issues that come up when children are using this type of technology, because when the obvious one would be the child would give its RFID card to another child and then go off premises. And in all sense and purposes, the school is then lulled into a false sense of security, knowing where the child is, but it actually doesn't. So
well, maybe they will start thinking we're going to have to fix these chips to the children, maybe even embed them inside their skin or something. That's the sort of excuse that you can almost imagine them saying, well, we can't allow the children to be exchanging their active RFID chips.
Humans injected with a tiny chip holding the key to all of their private information.
But as you're about to see in our CBS 46 investigation, it's not fiction. In fact, it's being marketed in Georgia as life-saving technology. So why do some experts say it's potentially deadly?
We're trying to bridge that gap from a silicon wafer type of electronics to a biological tissue-like electronics to really blur the distinction between electronics and the body.
University of Illinois materials science and engineering professor John Rogers is developing elastic electronics. It's circuitry with a real twist, able to monitor and deliver electrical impulses into living tissue. Made of tiny, wavy silicon patterns, these circuits are thinner than a hair and bend and stretch with the body.
I'm spying on you! Oh, hello! My name is Scott Silverman. I'm the CEO of Positive ID. We're the makers of the Very Chip. It's a microchip that's injected into people in order to track, help them. Some conspiracy theorists are accusing us of invading privacy or spying or even causing cancer. Ha 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 ha! None of that is true.
How many of you have tattoos? A few, but not most. What happens if Facebook, Google, Twitter, LinkedIn, cell phones, GPS, Foursquare, Yelp, Travel Advisor, all these things you deal with every day turn out to be electronic tattoos? And what if they provide as much information about who and what you are as any tattoo ever would?
We think that in anything that comes out now, there's going to be something in there that is going to be biometric in nature. Biometrics, in other words, eye scans, fingerprint, looking at someone's their pattern in their retina, DNA scanning.